The following is a production of Texas Lutheran University. For more information, please visit tlu.edu.
Please join me in the opening dialogue. Seeking the liberating potential of academic excellence, we gather as a community of learning and a community of faith. Exploring the world freely and boldly, we gather as a community of learning and a community of faith. Enlarging and deepening our sense of purpose, we gather as a community of learning and a community of faith. Facing the challenge of new insights, we gather as a community of learning and a community. Formulating fresh means of creative service, we gather as a community of learning and a community of faith. Let us pray. Almighty God, you give wisdom and knowledge. Help us to study diligently and to grow into all that is good. Support all who teach, coach, administer, nurture, and guide. Inspire and sustain all who learn and discover, that together we may know and follow your ways in grace and love with peace and justice through hope and faith. In your holy name we pray. Amen. Please be seated.
And good morning. It is my privilege as president of Texas Lutheran University to welcome you to the official opening of the 2013-14 academic year. This convocation is one of the university's most important traditions as we give thanks for the return of the coming back together of faculty, staff, and returning students, and we greet those that are new to our TLU community. We are all about to embark on an exciting journey, and we are glad you are coming with us. So here we go again. The 123rd year in the life of Texas Lutheran University so far is a clean slate. We are all perfect. No student is behind on his assignments. Every professor's syllabus is right on schedule, and every Bulldog team is undefeated. The meals at Hine are all new and original. So things are all as they should be, at least until 5 p.m. today. No doubt that perfect record won't last, but I am confident that this will be one of the best years in our history. You are here at an exciting time. The past 2 years have brought a lot of transformation, and the pace of that change is about to accelerate. Everyone here has an important role. We are all, from freshmen to the president, going to be growing and learning together in 2013-14. Now, on this special occasion, we have some special guests and friends in attendance that I would like to recognize. First, please help me recognize members of the Board of Regents. Mr. Glenn Bloomquist. Glenn, would you stand? Welcome. And our pastor, Stanley Meyer, Reverend Stanley Meyer. And this is actually right at the end of Pastor Meyer's service as a member of the Board of Regents. He'll actually be joining our community next week as the new Director of Church Relations. So welcome, Stan, and thank you for your service, and thank you for your service to come. And our Chair of the Board of Regents, we're pleased to welcome Ms. Robin Melvin. It's always a great pleasure to have our mayor in attendance. This year, Don Kyle took the reins of office, or last year he took the reins of office. Don is a longtime friend and supporter of Texas Lutheran University, and he is here to bring greetings from the community. So please join me in welcoming the Honorable Don Kyle, Mayor, City of Seguin.
Thank you, Dr. Dorsey, and it is indeed a pleasure to be here for all the wonderful things here at TLU today. And I want to welcome all those who are new to Seguin and welcome back those who have been here before, because we think this is a great place to be. It's one of the oldest communities in the state, and this year we're celebrating 175 years as a city. And TLU has been around for much of that, I believe 101 years now. They've been in Seguin. Now, Seguin was chartered by a group of Texas Rangers way back in 1838. And today, there are still many of the descendants of those original Texas Rangers are still living in Seguin and being a part of this community. And so they really know that this is a good place, that they're going to stick around for 175 years. We've got a rich history, and we invite all of you here who are new to the community, who don't know much about Seguin, to kind of learn more about it and try to absorb a little bit of that rich Texas heritage that we have here in Seguin. There's plenty of it, and if you just ask us, we will be glad to explain it all to you. But we're also looking to the future here in Seguin. We're very much looking to the future. This place is going to grow. And we recognize, as a city too, the students here. In the recent past, it's been a challenge for you to find entertainment and recreation and retail opportunities here in Seguin. We know that, and we recognize that as a city. So we are working very, very hard to improve that situation. And I think you will see that situation improve over this year. We've made some of those improvements, and you will see more and more of that in years to come. And we're also growing economically, and in a way that we hope that you will stay in Seguin. There are going to be many opportunities to pursue professional careers after graduation here in Seguin. More and more multinational companies are coming here, so those opportunities will be here. And there will also be opportunities for the supporting sectors and the professionals, opportunities with healthcare and with all the other things that support a great community, such as education as well. We want to keep as many of you here as we can because we need you to help grow this community. We need good, educated, involved people that are to staff our boards and commissions, to be a part of our organizations to help serve this community. And we hope that you will stick around and be a part of this great growing community. I don't know if you've heard it or not, but CNN Money has named Seguin and Guadalupe County the 4th largest generator of jobs in the U.S. So we will have the jobs here. We will be a growing community, and we hope that you will want to be a part of that. This is a great place to live. And I talked to a lot of groups around the area, to various places. And as mayor, you know, we like to go out and brag about our cities. And every time that I brag about this city, I brag about TLU and what a great asset it is for us to have you here in Seguin. We really, truly do appreciate this great institution as part of our community. And please know that TLU, you know, all of you here present today are very appreciated personally by me and by the entire city of Seguin. So on behalf of all the citizens of Seguin, I want to welcome you and wish you all a very enjoyable and productive academic new year. God bless you all, and thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. It is tradition for the Student Government Association president to bring greetings at the opening convocation. This year's president is actually bringing her second greeting. Last year, Zach Winkleman was away on an internship, and so Vice President Lisa Torres filled in ably. This year, she has an encore performance as president and is going to do it again. So welcome, Lisa.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lisa Torres, and I'm the president of the Student Government Association here at Texas Lutheran University. It is an honor to welcome all of you to the opening of the 2013-2014 school year. And in addition to welcoming you, I would like to also wish each one of you the best as we embark on this journey together. At this time, I would like to extend a very special welcome to all the first-year students. And I now ask that these freshmen transfers please rise. Welcome to your new home. We as staff, faculty, and students welcome you as the newest members of our TLU family. And I would like to present you all with 2 pieces of advice, if I'm even qualified to give advice. The first is to learn. Learning happens in the classroom, and at TLU, you will definitely experience the learning. But we can find lessons in many other areas. Learn in the residence halls, learn on the field, learn in a different country, learn from your mistakes, learn from each other, but most importantly, never forget what you've learned. And the second is to get involved. College provides the best years of your life, but only if you allow it to. So get out of that dorm and meet others. Find your passion, join an organization. By learning, every student will be able to succeed in college, but by getting involved, every student will be able to enjoy that college experience. And don't think I forgot about my returning Bulldogs. I have 4 words for y'all. Here we go again. However, I have different advice for you. I tell all of you, this time, let's do it better. And I look forward to seeing and getting to know all of you on campus. Good luck to everyone this first day of classes.
Thank you, Lisa, and good luck this year and to all student government. You always know it's the first day of classes because there's always a couple of students that are walking around and they don't quite know exactly where they are. So it was this morning as I went to my office about 8 o'clock, I encountered 2 students who were trying to find where their class was. Unfortunately, they came upon exactly the wrong person to help them, which was me. I'm sorry about that. However, Susan Wren was able to take over, and I think we're all set. Thank you for all the things that Susan does. Texas Lutheran enters this new academic year with a lot of momentum. 2 years ago, we concluded the convocation by crossing the street for the groundbreaking of Centennial Hall. I think it was about 115 degrees that day, if I remember correctly. Last year, we followed that ceremony by the official ribbon cutting and dedication of Centennial Hall. Now, we've just begun the journey of transforming this campus, and we will be continuing that progress and momentum this year. So we thought a great way to get started would be with a visual reminder of all that transpired last year, starring each of you. I was not expecting that TLU would make this prestigious list on our very first attempt. So I am very happy to announce that Texas Lutheran is officially a best college to work for. A campus that is a great place to work for, is a great place for students.
I play the violin in the chamber orchestra, and it's been one of the most rewarding experiences since I've started here at TLU.
Well, it was, it was really a wonderful next step. You know, when you go into college in your freshman year, all these things open up to you.
This is not just about oppression or a lack of civil rights or civility or acceptance of the gay community. This is about acceptance of all minorities.
Working on Lysistrata really stretched me to my limits, but it's also been extremely rewarding.
I'm especially happy to be having this conversation here in Texas. In many respects, Texas is the birthplace of mass incarceration.
The Aunt Jemima that I'm talking about, when my grandmother was doing this work, it was a different Aunt Jemima. It was before the extreme makeover.
The award-winning composer and composition professor at the University of Southern California will be TLU's artist in residence.
This is also a celebratory day for this dedication, because this has been a big part of the campus for the past year.
Dan Cohen will join a panel of experts in music and memory for a talkback following the screening.
TLU and Zonta Club of Seguin's Empty Bowls event will feature hundreds of bowls courtesy of McQueenie Pottery by Walt Glass.
TLU is showing a screening for The Big Picture, Rethinking Dyslexia.
On Monday, September 17th, the first installment of the Starlight Discussion Series will focus on the issues behind the presidential election.
This year's Crow Symposium explores these issues and a potentially powerful solution in unlocking the future from mass incarceration to restorative justice.
Join Texas Lutheran University the entire month of February as the community celebrates Black History Month.
Further the conversation by marking your calendars for Dramatic Media's production of the poignant docudrama, The Laramie Project 10 Years Later.
So, congratulations, class of 2013. Way to go. Now what? Be patient with yourself. Many of us are still figuring out what we want to do when we grow up, too. Know who you are. Plan to continue learning for a lifetime.
It's time to start.
And thanks to our marketing staff and dramatic media faculty for putting that video together. That only took a couple of minutes and it seemed like the entire last year went by that quickly. This one will too. I think you will agree that last year was one of our best, and one important reason why was the arrival of our Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Debbie Cottrell. Now entering her second year at TLU, Dr. Cottrell came to us after serving as an assistant professor at Cottey College, associate professor and associate dean at Smith College, and later as provost of William Peace University. Some of the more observant of you might note that TLU was her first appointment at a college with male students. I'm pleased to report that she negotiated that transition smoothly, no doubt aided by her son Andy, who is starting his junior year at Canyon High School. Dr. Cottrell is a native Texan, having grown up in Dallas. She received her BA in history from Baylor University and master's and PhD in history from the University of Texas, Austin. Her husband, Alan is also an historian and serves as Associate Dean at Montclair State University in New Jersey, where he racks up a lot of frequent flyer miles. The job of Chief Academic Officer is not an easy one. It requires considerable skill to balance the interests of faculty, students, and the academic affairs budget. The VPAA has to represent the president to the faculty and the faculty to the president. And I remember from my years in that position that the VPAA has to say no more often than a president does. And her office can go through a lot of Kleenex in 1 year. At the same time, the VPAA is often invisible and underappreciated. Everyone knows who the president is, and they know who the deans are, but few outside the faculty understand what the vice president for academic affairs or the provost is dealing with. All of which is to say that a strong academic leader is a very valuable asset, and TLU is very fortunate in that regard. In her first year, Dr. Cottrell took on all the usual duties, plus a number of key strategic initiatives: launching the new general education program, approval of a Bachelor of Science in nursing, exploring non-traditional programs, innovations in advising and career services, the accreditation review of our Masters in Accountancy, planning for the fine arts expansion, and recruiting 9 new faculty members, and lots of other tasks that I've probably forgotten for the moment. She took on all these assignments with grace and efficiency, and perhaps most importantly, won the confidence and support of the TLU faculty. What better opportunity than this opening convocation than to hear from our academic leader as she reflects on the year past and the challenges ahead. I'm very proud to introduce Dr. Debbie Cottrell, Vice President for Academic Affairs.
Well, good morning. It's my pleasure to begin today by introducing several new faculty who are among us, and also to note other important recognitions among our faculty. We are so pleased this year to welcome 7 new full-time tenure or tenure-track faculty members into our community. I'm going to ask each of them to stand as their names are called, and I share a brief biography on each of them. And at the conclusion of that, we'll all applaud these newest members of our community. Our first new faculty member cannot be with us today, but Dr. Kathy A. Duddle is our Director and Professor of Nursing. Dr. A. Duddle holds a Doctorate of Education from Pepperdine University, a Master of Science in Nursing from the University of Texas Medical Branch, Galveston, and a BSN from the University of Virginia. She comes to us this year with many years of experience at Kennesaw State University in Georgia. Adam Ackerson, Assistant Professor of Education. Dr. Ackerson previously taught in the Education Department at Stephen F. Austin State University. He holds a Doctorate of Education from the University of Houston, a Master's in Education from Lamar University, and both a Bachelor of Arts and Business from the University of Northern Iowa. Daniel Bratton, Assistant Professor of Political Science. Dr. Bratton recently earned his doctorate in political science from the University of Nebraska at Lincoln. He holds a master's degree from that same institution and a bachelor's in political science from North Dakota State University. Jerry Carr, Jr., Assistant Professor of Physics. A recent doctoral graduate in plasma physics from West Virginia University, Dr. Carr holds a master's degree in physics from West Virginia and an undergraduate degree in physics from Georgia Institute of Technology. Corinne Castro, Assistant Professor of Sociology. Dr. Castro holds a PhD and master's degree in sociology from Temple University and a bachelor's degree from the University of California, Berkeley. Carl Hughes, Assistant Professor of Theology. Dr. Hughes earned his PhD in theological studies from Emory University. He holds a master's degree from the Harvard Divinity School and earned his undergraduate degree in religion, philosophy, and French from St. Olaf College. And Stephanie Perez, Assistant Professor of Biology. Dr. Perez holds a PhD in cellular and structural biology from the University of Texas Health Science Center at San Antonio. Her undergraduate degree in biology is from Texas Lutheran University. Let's have a round of applause for these newest members of our faculty. And we are also so pleased to welcome to our community 3 new full-time faculty members who will serve in visiting roles this year. And I will ask each of them to stand as I call their names. Leslie Edwards in composition, Clayton Jewett in history, and Donna Kubina in education. And a round of applause for those individuals. Among our returning faculty, we have several important announcements of promotion and tenure that were approved by our board last spring, and I will ask each of them to stand as I call their names. Dr. Tiffany Sia. Professor Sia joined the TLU faculty in 2006. She holds a bachelor's degree from Linfield College and a master's degree and PhD from Texas Christian University. And upon the recommendation of the Rank and Tenure Committee and approval by the Board of Regents, Dr. Sia has been granted tenure and has been promoted to the rank of Associate Professor. Congratulations. Dr. Mike Zuckery. Professor Zuckery joined TLU in fall 2006 as assistant professor in the Department of Psychology. Dr. Zuckery holds a BA in psychology from Colorado College, an MA in psychology from East Tennessee State University, and a PhD in psychology from Texas Christian University. He received tenure at TLU in 2012. And upon the recommendation of the Rank and Tenure Committee and approval by the Board of Regents, Dr. Zuckery has been promoted to the rank of Associate Professor. Congratulations. And Dr. Robin Bishop. Dr. Bishop joined the TLU faculty in 2002 and was tenured and promoted to Associate Professor of Communication Studies in 2007. She holds a bachelor's degree from the University of South Florida, master's degrees from Indiana University and the University of North Carolina, and a PhD from Indiana University. And upon the recommendation of the Rank and Tenure Committee and approval by the Board of Regents, Dr. Bishop has been promoted to the rank of professor. And in addition, we are also pleased today to note that Dr. Bishop has been selected as the recipient of the Hugo and Georgia Gibson Fellowship for the 2013-14 academic year. This selection was based on the recommendation of the Rank and Tenure Committee last spring and the approval of the Gibson Committee this summer. Congratulations. So, I have now done my most important duty of the day, but I am also honored to be asked to deliver our 2013 Convocation Address. I do this with a firm memory of the first time I was asked to deliver any kind of talk like this, back many years ago when I was a history professor at Cottrell College in Missouri. I made the mistake of getting kind of puffed up about my talk, which I had come to believe was going to set the historical record straight for all time, and in turn, I invited my mother, who had no particular passion for history, to come hear my talk. She listened to me explain what I was going to do and why it was so important, and then she gave me one of those unique mother looks, and she said, "Well, Debbie, the only thing I really care about is how long this talk is going to be, because if you're going to talk too long, I'm not coming." She did come that night. I'm not completely sure that she stayed awake for all of it, but I can assure you I never speak without thinking of her response to my invitation. So with Mom and brevity in mind, I want to take just a few minutes this morning to consider with you 3 questions as we gather together to begin our academic year. I'll offer some thoughts on my answers to these 3 questions, but my real hope is that you will think more about your own answers and give these questions more thought as we go throughout the year. The first question of the morning is, why are we here? With classes now underway, students moved in, professors' syllabi ready, office hours posted, why in the world do we need this ceremony to open our academic year? By every measure, it would appear that we are underway, and that regardless of what happens here in Jackson this morning, we will continue to be so. The short answer, of course, is that we are here because of some kind of long-standing academic tradition shared around the world that allows us to mark together a new beginning. It's not commencement, which comes at the end, though it means beginning. And it's not matriculation, though sometimes these two opening events are merged, but which we do separately here at TLU. But it's convocation, which means traveling just a little bit through some Latin and Greek, an assembly of persons, or a calling together. Like many things in history, convocation has all kinds of connections to the church, and in its early years as an academic assembly, it tended to carry authority and decision-making power. In some places, the people in the convocation were responsible for representing the views of all of the graduates of the college to the administration. In other places, those attending convocation voted on who would represent the university on committees that year. I believe that could take us months to accomplish if we tried to do that. Many convocations were used to elect the next president. And at one place, the people at convocation had a dual role of electing the chancellor of the university and the professor of poetry. I thought about invoking all that history and announcing today that I would empower this assembly in some way, maybe to establish a satellite campus in Hawaii, or to designate that we'd all go to dinner every Tuesday night at Dr. Sitzler's house. But then I remembered my mother and realized that being asked to give this talk today probably did not include that kind of power. So if we don't have any assignments or powers and we are by all evidence already underway, why are we here? Or why are we here? What does all that history have to do with us being in this room at this moment on the morning of August 27th, 2013? We are here, I think, because we believe in some way that there is a connection between tradition and community. Because we believe that we're not just a hodgepodge of individuals, presidents and professors, vice presidents and students, staff and alums who happen to be at the same place at the same time. Rather, we are a group of individuals connected to this place, taking our power and our strength from one another, recognizing a larger tradition beyond us and appreciating the opportunity to live that tradition locally. There is a lot this morning that's about symbolism, about welcoming, and about acknowledging that a strong academic community has a strong faculty. It's about commitment and renewal and about contemplating our future. Which brings me to our second question. As long as we are here, how can this time together help us prepare for the year ahead? How can it be a gathering that we'll remember and connect back to as the year progresses? If we don't have any particular powers as a convocation, what is our strategic advantage in being together this morning? I think the answer to this second question has to do with the power of pausing and reflecting. In his powerful little book, The Thinking Life, P.M. Forney notes that there is a crisis of concentration among us today. We do more than we think. We go more than we reflect. We react more than we anticipate. Among Mr. Forney's observation is the thought that there is no substitute for reflection and introspection. Now, it may seem odd that I'm suggesting that this little intimate gathering this morning, you have the ability to look inward and to reflect and to think ahead. But I think you do, individually, and we do collectively. In some ways, we prepare for the year ahead as a community by taking a collective deep breath together this morning, getting ourselves ready, knowing that deep breathing, as our yoga instructors say, can serve as our basis for opening ourselves for what is ahead. And that brings us to a third question. As we leave here today, what is our obligation? What should we take from this place to share? Not because we came together this morning, but because in coming together, we acknowledged and affirmed that each of us are part of something larger than ourselves, and that, to paraphrase Spider-Man just a bit, with great convoking comes great responsibility. It seems to me that a big part of what we're doing today is pausing to acknowledge tradition, to reflect on our year ahead, and then to commit to our own role in that year. Next month, as you saw, the well-known New York Times columnist David Brooks will be on campus, right here at TLU, to talk to our community. I think David Brooks is incredibly smart and well-read and full of interesting ideas, which is not to say that I agree with everything he writes. But I do think he has an ability to toss out nuggets of wisdom with ease and grace through his words. Recently, Mr. Brooks made some observations about the humanities, languages, literature, history, religion, ethics, the arts. And he was talking about the perception that the humanities as an area of study have declined, a perception that is very much being debated. But his point was that the decline had come because of a loss of focus. The humanities, Mr. Brooks said, got more caught up in difference than common ground. They stopped caring about the truth and more about categories. They looked outward without looking inward. David Brooks has also written in an entirely different realm, but one that connects back to Mr. Forney, that the best thing all of us can do as we go about being part of something beyond ourselves is to seek to, and I quote, behave in a balanced way, to think about the long-term consequences of our actions, to cooperate, to be decent. And when things are hard and the flow is against us, Mr. Brooks says, the best strategy is to respond by being twice as productive and 4 times as nice. Our obligation, it seems to me, is to be grateful for what this institution gives us, even as we all, in our own ways, work to make it better. To be grateful for those sturdy German Lutherans who had a vision for this stately college of the Plains, even as many of us here now are not German or Lutheran, though I suppose we do still have the Plains. To appreciate the hard work, the productivity, the discipline, and yes, the many kindnesses it has taken to ensure that you can be here today, that I can stand here today, that our faculty can teach here today. To know that in pausing to get ourselves convoked, we are preparing for all the possibilities that are ahead. I'm going to close today with a little story about me and my nieces, a story that is, for me, about knowledge and preparation and faith. 3 components that might be helpful touchstones in the year ahead and might help us as we think further about our own obligation in this community. One of my nieces recently turned 30, which she thought might be the end of the world, and so I offered her a weekend celebration with her sisters and me. I'm nothing if not experienced at getting older, so I felt sure that I was capable of helping Anne with this significant transition. My celebration activity of choice, as it turned out, was called the Texas Adventure Challenge, which in hindsight seems a little foolish, but ahead of time seemed to fit the need, or at least to fit our schedule. So point 1 in my story is that as this weekend unfolded, it became clear that I really did not know what an adventure challenge was. I did not have sufficient knowledge for the undertaking at hand. Most specifically, I thought we were going to go ziplining with a little climb ahead of time to get us to the top of the zip. It turns out that we were going to climb a ridiculously high alpine structure first, totally unrelated to the zipping, and then go do a quick zip. So standing looking up at that climbing structure with swing rope ladders and detached diagonal poles and little bitty rocks to climb up, I thought to myself, how did I miss this? How did I totally miss the knowledge base that might have helped me understand what we were in for? How did I fail to ask critical questions, to seek knowledge about this adventure? Now, equally critical and somewhat amusing in this moment was the look on my nieces' faces. I'm pretty sure that Anne had forgotten all about turning 30 and was now worried about making it to 31. But it was also clear that she and her sisters were wondering how it was that I, the senior aunt in the group, probably the senior person in the entire group, had failed so miserably to understand what was ahead for us. And so quickly I decided that the only way to substitute for my lack of knowledge was to very quickly prepare. And that brings me to point 2. Preparation is good, but cramming hardly ever works. Now, I am a big believer that preparation goes a long way, and that when you are prepared, you have a much better chance of succeeding. And I also understand that last-minute preparation is hardly ever ideal. But it seemed I had no choice, and so I began to analyze the structure and the options that were laid out for us, which way we could go and what each route would involve. I walked around that structure about 5 times, looking at the 3 routes, finally settling on the one that appeared it might actually involve my reaching the top without any loose swinging ropes or big leaps or broken bones. I got myself in line for that route, thinking very hard about the mental challenge ahead, when suddenly the owner of the Adventure Challenge appeared and announced that he was opening a new 4th route. And then, almost unbelievably, he looked around our group, pointed right at me, and said, "You come climb this one." "I'm not really prepared for that one," I said, as if I were prepared for the others. "Well," he said, "that's too bad, because this is the one you're going to climb." And so point 3, as important as knowledge and preparation could have been, it appeared I had neither in this moment. Now, a better person might have started with faith, but I think you can figure out that I got to faith by virtue of having nothing else to work with. It was all that was left for me, and I figured I was just going to have to trust that what happened was going to be manageable, despite all evidence to the contrary. It was not necessarily a pretty picture, nor was there anything speedy about my ascent, but I did make it to the top, and I note that I stand before you today with all of my bones intact. Amazingly, with the help of my 12-year-old guide on the ground, faith kicked in just when it needed to, and with a little help from the crowd, I made it. But when it was over, and I was safely back on the ground, continuing to use faith as they flew me back to earth, I reflected on this scenario and those 3 key elements: knowledge, preparation, faith, and on the advantages, whether in life or at the climbing structure or at the beginning of the fall semester of college, of approaching them, as David Brooks reminded us, in some sort of balanced way, which I had not done. How this whole operation might have been a bit smoother and a little bit less daunting if I had sought some knowledge of my undertaking and had spent some time to prepare, or at least had not been so desperate to use preparation to make up for my lack of knowledge. And if I had approached it all with some faith, maybe even some wonder from the beginning, instead of turning to that in desperation when my other critical elements proved non-existent. And so it seems to me that as we work our way through this community of faith and learning this year, as we seek to live boldly and learn to inspire, and as we invoke all the other phrases and realities that are Texas Lutheran University, we have an obligation to think about the healthy balance of knowledge, of preparation, and of faith, and to know that some measure of each has a place in our own experiences here, and that the combination of these 3 is surely going to give us the strongest way possible through our studies, through our relationships, through our classes and our activities, through our meetings and our responsibilities, through our teaching and our mentoring. Despite my standing before you in one piece today, I'm offering my climbing adventure as a lesson in how to do things better than I did them. Now, I can hear my mom suggesting that enough is enough, and so I will wrap this up. We are here because we are part of something larger than us. Being here gives us a little space to honor, to reflect, and to determine how we will be here this year. And going here from today, we have the opportunity to seek knowledge, to commit to preparation, and to utilize faith, all as important components in an academic community that gives us much and in return asks us to give back. There really are, I believe, only 2 things at stake in this scenario. First, the progress each of us will make on our individual journeys, and secondly, the future of Texas Lutheran University. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cottrell. So I think we have been moved in, we've been oriented, we've had our matriculation ceremony, and now we're opening convocation. So I think it's time to go to class. As president of Texas Lutheran University, I proclaim the 2013-14 academic year to be open and pray that it be a year of growth and prosperity for all that are part of this community. And I got the first line here, okay. To read my script. We gather as a community with diverse roles, but we all seek to grow in truth. Student?
We promise to continue our learning, to support our colleagues, students and endeavors, and to be responsible stewards of the university. The Lord bless us and keep us. The Lord's face shine upon us and be gracious to us. The Lord look upon us with favor and give us peace. Amen. I invite you to stand as we sing the alma mater.
Students at TLU engage in high-impact educational experiences that include civic engagement, aesthetic expression, critical thinking, and a focus on intercultural knowledge in a community that welcomes the interplay of faith and reason.